My wife Sarah and I had been married for 5 years when everything fell apart. We had this cozy little house in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon. I had a stable job as a project manager, she worked in marketing, and we were saving up for a bigger place. Life felt steady, like we were building something real together. But then one dinner conversation changed everything. Sarah's sister Diana had been trying to have a baby for years without success, and that night Sarah said she wanted to become a surrogate for her. I thought it was just a passing idea, something she was thinking out loud. I should have known better. I should have seen the storm coming. Before I dive deeper into how this decision shattered my marriage, I would love to know, where are you watching this from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. If this story resonates with you, or if you have ever faced an impossible choice in your relationship, hit that like button and subscribe. Because what started as my wife's noble sacrifice turned into the biggest betrayal of my life. Here is how it all fell apart. Let me tell you about Diana. She is Sarah's older sister by 3 years, and they have always been incredibly close. Diana married her husband Greg 8 years ago, and they had been trying to conceive ever since. They went through 4 rounds of IVF, each one ending in heartbreak. They spent over $80,000 chasing the dream of becoming parents. After the 4th failure, their doctor suggested they consider using a surrogate. Diana was devastated. I felt terrible for them, I really did. Sarah and I had supported them through every disappointment, every failed attempt. We understood their pain, but I never imagined Sarah would offer herself. It happened on a Friday night. We had just left Diana and Greg's place after dinner. The drive home was quiet at first, and then Sarah turned to me and said, "What if I carried a baby for Diana?" I actually laughed. I thought she was joking. "That is a huge commitment, honey," I said. But her face was serious. "I am serious, Lewis. I have been thinking about this for weeks." My stomach dropped. Weeks. She had been considering this for weeks and had not said a word to me. I tried to stay calm. I explained that we did not have kids of our own yet. We were still saving for that bigger house. This would change everything. Sarah looked at me like I was being unreasonable. "We can still have our own kids later," she said. "But Diana needs help now." The urgency in her voice unsettled me. I suggested we take some time to research surrogacy, understand what it really involved. She agreed, but I could tell she had already made up her mind. We decided to talk about it again the following week. As I pulled into our driveway that night, I felt this nagging sense of dread. Something told me this was not going to end well. The next week, I spent hours researching surrogacy. I found articles about the health risks for the surrogate, the potential for emotional attachment to the baby, and the strain it puts on marriages. Study after study showed that many couples ended up divorcing after the wife served as a surrogate. There were legal complications to consider, and the physical recovery time after birth could take anywhere from 6 months to a year. I printed out articles, highlighted key passages, and prepared to have a thorough discussion with Sarah. But when I brought it up, Sarah dropped a bomb. She had already talked to Diana and Greg. She had already scheduled an appointment with a fertility clinic. She had already started the process. "You what?" I could barely form words. "You already talked to them without discussing with me first." Sarah got defensive immediately. "I knew you would try to talk me out of it," she said. "But this is my body, Lewis. My choice." Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. My body, my choice. She was using that phrase like a weapon, like it gave her permission to make a massive life decision without considering how it would affect us. "This is not about your body autonomy," I tried to explain. "This is about our marriage. This is a decision that affects both of us. We are supposed to be a team. She accused me of being selfish, of not caring about Diana's pain. I pushed back. I do care about Diana, I said. But I care about us more, about our future. Then she told me Diana and Greg had offered to pay her $30,000 for the surrogacy. I felt sick. This is about money now, I asked. No, she shouted. It is about helping my sister have a family, but the damage was done. The conversation spiraled into our first real fight. We went to bed that night on opposite sides of the mattress, not touching, not speaking. I lay there in the dark, feeling completely alone. It was not just about the surrogacy anymore. It was about the fact that my opinion did not seem to matter to my own wife. She had decided, and I was just expected to go along with it. The next few days were tense. I kept hoping Sarah would reconsider, that she would realize how serious this was. But instead, she pulled away from me. We barely talked. She spent more time on the phone with Diana than she did with me. I felt like I was losing her, and the worst part was she did not even seem to notice. 3 days after our fight, Sarah came home late from work. I asked where she had been, and she said casually, I had an appointment with the fertility clinic. With Diana and Greg. I just stood there frozen. You what? She had gone ahead and done the medical screening, the psychological evaluation, the legal consultation, all without telling me. How could you do this behind my back? I asked, my voice shaking. She looked at me like I was being ridiculous. I did not go behind your back, she said. I told you I was doing this. That was when I realized something. Telling me after you have already done it is not a discussion, Sarah. It is a notification. She crossed her arms. I do not need your permission, Louis. This is my body. There it was again. My body, my choice. Like those 4 words erased our entire marriage. The next day, Diana called me. Thank you so much for supporting Sarah through this, she said, her voice full of gratitude. I was confused. I never said I support this. There was a long pause. What Diana said. Sarah told us you were on board with everything. My blood ran cold. Sarah had lied. She had told her sister and Greg that I agreed when I had done nothing of the sort. That night I confronted Sarah. Why did you tell them I agreed? She broke down crying, saying she did not want Diana and Greg to feel bad. So you lied? I asked. To your sister. And to me she kept sobbing, saying Diana had been through so much that she needed this. And what about what we are going through? I asked. What about our marriage? Sarah looked up at me with tears streaming down her face. Our marriage will be fine, she said. It is just 9 months. Just 9 months. Like carrying another couple's baby was no big deal. 9 months where I would watch my wife go through pregnancy, but it would not be our child. 9 months where she would be focused on Diana and Greg's dreams instead of ours. I tried to make her understand. You are being selfish and cruel, she said. Those words cut deep. I was not being selfish. I was being honest. And apparently, that was a crime now. Then her parents got involved. Sarah's mom, Linda, called me insisting I needed to be more supportive. Sarah is doing an incredibly selfless thing, she said. Did she tell you she never asked my opinion? I asked. That she just decided for both of us. Her father, Tom, got on the line. Sometimes wives need their husbands to step up and sacrifice, he said. I realized then that Sarah's entire family was against me. They all thought I was the villain in this story. Sarah started the hormone injections to prepare for the embryo transfer. Every evening I had to watch her inject herself with needles. She asked me to drive her to her clinic appointments. I refused. I would not be part of this if I did not agree with it. She was furious. So you are abandoning me, she asked. No, I said. You abandoned us when you made this decision alone. Weeks passed. We barely spoke. Sarah moved into the guest room. I felt like I was living with a stranger. Diana would come over to visit Sarah, bringing gifts and treats, completely ignoring me. I was invisible in my own home. The house I had helped pay for the life I had helped build, and I was treated like I did not exist. Then came the day of the embryo transfer. Sarah asked me one last time to come with her. Please, Louis. I need you there. Part of me wanted to refuse, but I still loved her. Despite everything, I still loved my wife. So I agreed. At the clinic, I sat in the waiting room alone. Diana and Greg were in the procedure room with Sarah. A nurse eventually invited me in. I walked through the door and saw Sarah lying on the exam table. Diana was holding Sarah's hand. Greg stood beside Diana, his hand on her shoulder. The doctor was performing the transfer. Diana was crying tears of joy. Sarah was smiling at her sister. Nobody looked at me. I stood in the corner of the room, feeling like an intruder at someone else's intimate moment. When the procedure was done, Diana threw her arms around Sarah. Thank you, thank you, thank you, she kept saying. Greg shook Sarah's hand. We will never forget this. I turned and walked out. Nobody noticed. That was the moment I knew my marriage was over. 2 weeks later, Sarah took a pregnancy test. It was positive. She was ecstatic. She immediately called Diana, who rushed over with Greg. They brought non-alcoholic champagne and hugged Sarah like she had just given them the world. They celebrated in my living room, laughing and crying and planning for the baby. I was not invited to join. I sat upstairs in our bedroom, listening to their voices drift up through the floor. After they left, Sarah came upstairs. She was glowing with happiness. Are not you happy? She asked. We did it? I looked at her. We did not do anything, Sarah. You did. With them. She rolled her eyes. Why are you like this? Can you not just be happy for Diana? I stood up. I warned you this would destroy our marriage. You did not listen. She laughed, but it was bitter. Oh, please, you are being dramatic. I shook my head. Look at us. We are strangers now, she snapped back. Only because you are making it that way, that was when I understood. Sarah genuinely did not think there was a problem. She thought I was overreacting. She thought I would eventually get over it. She had no idea that she had already destroyed everything we built together. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I had an appointment I could not miss. I drove downtown to a law office and met with a divorce attorney named Mr. Harrison. I laid out the entire situation for him. He listened carefully, nodding occasionally. Unfortunately, I have seen similar cases, he said. Surrogacy arrangements can destroy marriages when one spouse does not fully consent. What are my options? I asked. He explained that since Sarah was carrying someone else's biological child, and I had not agreed to it, I had strong grounds for divorce. Oregon is a no-fault state, he said. You do not need to prove wrongdoing. How long will it take? I asked. If uncontested, about 3 to 6 months. If she contests, could be a year. I want to file immediately, I said. Mr. Harrison looked at me seriously. Are you sure this is a big step? I have never been more sure of anything, I told him. She made a choice without me. Now I am making mine. I signed the paperwork that day. Mr. Harrison said the papers would be served within 48 hours. I drove home before Sarah got back from work. I started packing my belongings. Clothes, personal items, my laptop, important documents. I left the furniture, the decorations, all the things we had bought together. Those belonged to a life that no longer existed. I booked an Airbnb for a month while I searched for a permanent apartment. I transferred half the money from our joint account to my personal account. It was completely legal. I left the other half for Sarah. Then I sat down and wrote a note. I left it on the kitchen counter. Sarah, by the time you read this, divorce papers will be served to you tomorrow. You said my body, my choice. You are right. It is your body. Your choice. This is my choice. You chose Diana over us. You chose surrogacy over our marriage. I warned you. You did not listen. You thought I was being dramatic or selfish. I was not. I was being honest about what this would do to us. I hope the $30,000 and Diana's gratitude are worth it. I hope carrying her baby fills the space where our marriage used to be. I am done begging for my wife to value my voice in our relationship. I am done being a stranger in my own home. You made your choice. I am making mine. Lewis. I took off my wedding ring and placed it beside the note. I looked around the house one last time. 5 years of memories lived in those walls, but memories were not enough to save a marriage that one person had already abandoned. I grabbed my bags and left before Sarah came home. Sarah got home around 6 in the evening. She saw my truck was gone. She walked inside and found the note. Later, I heard she collapsed on the kitchen floor, sobbing. She called me 23 times that night. I did not answer. She sent text after text. Lewis, please, we need to talk. Do not do this. I am sorry. Please come home. I muted my phone. The next morning, a process server delivered the divorce papers to Sarah's workplace. She was humiliated. She left work early and drove to my office, waiting in the parking lot. When I walked out and saw her car, I kept walking. She jumped out. Lewis, please, we can work this out. I stopped and looked at her. There is nothing to work out, Sarah. She was frantic now. I will stop. I will terminate the surrogacy. I was shocked. You would do that, abort Diana's baby. She was panicking, not thinking clearly. I do not know. I just do not want to lose you. I shook my head. That baby is Diana's hope. You cannot just take it away because you finally realized you were wrong. So what am I supposed to do? She cried. You carry Diana's baby, I said. You give birth. You be the hero sister everyone thinks you are. And I will be gone. Do you not love me anymore? She asked, her voice breaking. My own voice cracked. I do. That is the worst part. I still love you, Sarah. But I cannot stay married to someone who does not value my voice, my feelings, our partnership. She grabbed my arm. I was just trying to help my sister. At the cost of your husband, I said. You made that choice clear. Please do not leave me, she begged. I am pregnant and alone and scared. I gently removed her hand from my arm. You are not alone. You have Diana. You have Greg. You have your parents. You have everyone who supported this decision. You will be fine. I turned and walked to my car. Sarah was screaming behind me. Lewis, Lewis, please. I did not turn back. I could not. Diana called me that night. How could you do this to Sarah? She is pregnant with your baby, I said. That is the point. She is my sister. She is vulnerable right now, and whose fault is that, I asked. Diana was furious. You are being cruel. She needs you. She needed me to agree before she made this decision, I said. She did not care then. Why should I care now? Sarah's mother, Linda, called next. You are abandoning your wife when she is carrying a child. She is carrying Diana's child, I said. Ask Diana to support her. Her father, Tom, was even harsher. We raised Sarah better than to marry a man like you. And I thought I married a woman who valued our marriage, I replied. Guess we were both wrong. I blocked all their numbers. I moved into my new apartment the next week. It was smaller than the house, but it was mine. I threw myself into work. I joined a gym. I started seeing a therapist. My therapist told me something that stuck with me. You set a boundary, she said. Sarah crossed it. You followed through with consequences. That is healthy. I began to heal, slowly but surely. I realized that loving someone does not mean accepting disrespect. It does not mean sacrificing your voice in your own marriage. I sat in my new apartment one evening, no wedding ring on my finger, no Sarah beside me. But for the first time in months, I felt peace. 6 months passed. The divorce was finalized 1 week before Sarah's due date. She did not contest it. Deep down, she knew she was wrong. We sold the house and split the proceeds. Sarah moved in with Diana and Greg during the final months of her pregnancy. I heard through mutual friends that she was miserable. Diana and Greg hovered over her, constantly treating her less like a sister and more like a vessel for their child. My friend Jake texted me one day, "Man, Sarah looks terrible. Diana treats her like an incubator, not a person." I felt a twinge of sadness when I read that, but I did not regret my decision. Sarah gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Diana and Greg named him Ethan. According to the contract, Sarah handed the baby over immediately after birth. I heard she cried for hours. Diana and Greg took Ethan home overjoyed with their new son. Sarah was left alone dealing with severe postpartum depression. 3 weeks after the birth, there was a knock on my apartment door. I opened it and froze. Sarah stood there looking exhausted. She had lost weight. Her eyes were hollow, her skin pale. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "Can I come in?" she asked quietly. Just for a minute I hesitated, then stepped aside. She sat on my couch, trembling. "You were right," she said, "about everything." I stayed silent, letting her speak. I thought I was doing something noble, heroic, selfless. She started crying. "But I lost you. I lost us. And now Diana has her baby and I am just empty." "What did you expect would happen?" I asked. She shook her head. "I do not know. I thought everyone would be happy. I thought you would come around. I thought carrying a baby would feel special. But it did not," she continued. "It felt lonely. Diana and Greg treated me like a vessel, not a person, not Sarah. I could have told you that," I said. "You did tell me," she whispered. "I did not listen." She looked up at me. "I used my body, my choice, like a weapon against you. But it was not about choice. It was about control. I wanted to prove I did not need your approval." "And what did that prove?" I asked. "That I lost the only person who truly loved me," she said softly. "Is there any chance?" she began, but I was already shaking my head. "No, Sarah, we are done." She nodded slowly. "I understand." She stood up. "For what it is worth, I am sorry. You deserved better." "Yes," I said. "I did." She walked to the door, paused, then left without another word. I sat in the silence for a long time, feeling something I had not felt before. Closure. The weeks and months that followed were about rebuilding. I continued therapy, learning more about boundaries, self-respect, and what a real partnership should look like. I realized that marriage is about two people making decisions together. When one person bulldozes over the other, it is not a partnership. It is a dictatorship. I started dating again casually, with no rush. I met people who respected my voice, who asked my opinion, who valued my input. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my marriage. They all said the same thing. You seem lighter, happier, like yourself again. I realized I had been walking on eggshells with Sarah for years. She had always been impulsive, emotional, quick to react. I had always been the peacemaker, the one who avoided conflict, the reasonable one. I had enabled her by never standing firm. But this time I stood firm, and it saved me. I got a promotion at work. My focus and productivity had improved tremendously once I was not dealing with constant drama at home. I moved into a nicer apartment with big windows that let in lots of light. I adopted a dog, a golden retriever mix I named Copper. Finally, I had a companion who was loyal and happy to see me every day. Life was not perfect, but it was peaceful. No more drama. No more feeling invisible. No more begging to be heard. One Saturday, I was at the grocery store when I saw Diana pushing a stroller. Baby Ethan was inside and Greg walked beside her. Diana saw me and froze. I nodded politely and kept walking. Diana rushed after me. "Louis, wait." I stopped. "What?" She looked uncomfortable. I wanted to say I am sorry for how things turned out. I looked at her. "Are you sorry Sarah destroyed her marriage or sorry you got what you wanted?" She flinched. "That is not fair." "Neither was pressuring your sister into something that ruined her life," I said. "We did not pressure her. She wanted to do this." "Did she?" I asked. "Or did you just make her feel guilty until she caved?" Greg stepped forward. "That is enough, man." "You are right," I said. "It is enough. Congratulations on your son. I hope he is worth what it cost." I walked away. I felt nothing. No anger, no bitterness. They were strangers now. Their chapter of my life was over. That evening, I sat in my apartment with Copper curled up beside me. I thought about everything I had learned. My body, my choice is valid, but marriage is about partnership. Individual autonomy exists, but major decisions affecting both partners need discussion and mutual agreement. Love is not enough if respect is missing. Sarah loved me, but she did not respect my voice in our marriage. Standing up for yourself is not selfish. I set a boundary, Sarah crossed it, and I followed through. That is self-respect. You cannot save someone who will not save the relationship. Sarah chose Diana over our marriage, and I could not fix that alone. Walking away is sometimes the strongest choice. Staying would have meant accepting disrespect forever. I was not willing to do that. I am single now, healing and hopeful about the future. I learned what I will and will not accept in future relationships. I need mutual respect, equal voices, true partnership. I have no bitterness towards Sarah. I just understand now that we were not compatible in the way that mattered most. She taught me what I will not tolerate, and for that, in a strange way, I am grateful. People ask if I regret leaving. I do not. I regret that Sarah could not see what she was destroying until it was gone. But I do not regret choosing myself. Sometimes loving someone means letting them go, especially when they have already let you go first. In the end, she made her choice, and I made mine. We both have to live with that. So here is my question for you. Have you ever had to make an impossible choice in a relationship? Have you ever set a boundary that cost you someone you loved? Drop your answer in the comments. I would love to hear your story. If this resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that choosing yourself is not selfish. It is survival. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember you deserve to be heard in your own relationship.